The world's first dual-screen handheld console that I've been eagerly anticipating has finally arrived. This is the AYN Thor handheld console you can see right here in my hands. And among all the dual-screen handhelds that have been released to date, this is the one I am most satisfied with. Therefore, in my opinion, it is truly the world's first dual-screen. This is an Android handheld console. First, let's talk about its appearance. It's really compact and exquisite, even a little smaller than my new 3DS. This size makes it truly portable, making it incredibly convenient to slip into your pocket for daily outings. The top screen of this device features a 6-inch OLED screen with a 16:9 aspect ratio, while the bottom screen it has a 3.92-inch OLED screen with an 8:7 aspect ratio. This brings up an important point. The native 3DS has a 15:9 top screen and a 4:3 bottom screen. Consequently, playing 3DS games on this handheld will result in small black bars appearing on both the upper and lower screens. Therefore, in this situation, I strongly recommend the black model. Since OLED itself does not emit light, the black provides a more integrated look, meaning you'll hardly notice those small black bars during gameplay. Now let's look at the overall weight of the device. As you can see, it's very light. I believe a dual screen handheld should be like this, compact and lightweight, fitting the description of being truly portable, unlike just slapping on two big screens weighing over 500 grams expecting it to be popular. And then there's the button layout. The ABXY buttons are in the Nintendo layout. After all, it's quite apparent what games you'll primarily play on a dual screen handheld. In this situation, an Xbox layout would be a bit odd. The ABXY buttons use conductive rubber, making them feel soft, with a crisp activation and clean activation, and they're not too loud either. You can definitely trust the button tuning from AYN. On the front, in addition to the ABXY and D-pad, you'll also notice two SS buttons located above, plus the back and home buttons below. Beyond these, there is also a dual screen settings button, which I will discuss later. The joysticks are recessed Hall effect joysticks with two shoulder buttons and the trigger buttons positioned above them. These trigger buttons are certainly Hall effect triggers, and both of these triggers have a relatively short key travel distance. This is mainly to prevent them from getting caught when you put the device in your pocket. So, while you don't get a long pull, it enhances portability. Other than that, there are no other buttons on top, and the sides are also very clean with no buttons. Finally, looking at the bottom, volume up and down, the power button, a full-featured USB-C port, a 3.5mm headphone jack, and a TF card slot. Many might find this quite awkward, as having the volume and power buttons at the bottom feels strange. In fact, when I first got my hands on it, I felt it was a little too cramped. It would have been much more comfortable if the power and volume keys were placed on the side. The central spot at the bottom is a Hall effect sensor, primarily used for closing the screen. The lid to turn off the screen. Let's see. Its response is very sensitive. A flip device should be like this. If you're playing a game and something comes up, I can close the lid, slip it into my pocket, and get back to what I need to do. It's all about convenience and elegance. As for the gaps on either side of the sensor, they are a bit large, but I think they're likely space for a tempered glass screen protector. If it's too narrow, the tempered glass screen protector could get stuck on the screen when inserted. So I personally advise everyone to apply a tempered glass screen protector. After all, as it is now, if you press down hard on both sides, there's a significant risk of damaging the screen. Also, on the bottom left and right, there are two openings for attaching a lanyard. This time, it should come with one. It should also come with a free lanyard, which looks like this. You can insert the lanyard into the side, which also effectively enhances its aesthetics. So, having covered the exterior, let's open up the device and discuss the most anticipated aspects. Before diving into game tests, let's first examine its dual screen configuration. Pressing the button below lets you access settings at any time, and you'll see that the dual screen configuration is quite well designed. The brightness of both the upper and lower screens can be adjusted independently, or both can be adjusted simultaneously. Moreover, the volume for the upper and lower screens can also be controlled separately. Pertaining to the display, you have the option to show content on both screens, or solely on the upper or lower screen. This method primarily serves to prevent screen burn-in, and on the other hand, it also effectively reduces power consumption. The central task manager allows access to background apps, and the system settings on the right display various current parameters. There are also integrated settings for some frequently used functions. I find this small settings feature to be very convenient and useful. Of course, all these dual screen settings will undoubtedly be. They will certainly continue to optimize it, as this is unlikely to be their only dual-screen handheld console. Here, I have a small suggestion. When playing a game on the top screen, you can see the console's monitoring data on the bottom screen. However, if you're playing on the bottom screen, this monitoring data isn't displayed on the top screen. So, I'm wondering if it's possible to include a Switching function, something that lets you move the dual screen settings from the bottom screen to the top with one touch. That would be more convenient. Now that we've covered that, let's get to the actual game testing. On the software side, the MMJ version of Citra didn't work before. When I was testing a couple of days ago, I was using the official build, but just yesterday and today, the MMJ version of Citra is now working perfectly fine, no issues at all. However, when it comes to the NDS emulator, Drastic still isn't working. It's up to Odin to see if they can get in touch with that software's author. For now, you'll need to use MeloneDS, which operates without a hitch. After all, NDS games don't demand much performance, so MeloneDS is sufficient for the task. Next, let's examine the game test section. For 3DS games, I'm utilizing the Citra emulator with resolution consistently set to the maximum 4x setting. Other options are mostly default. So, as you just witnessed, whether it's a performance-intensive game like Monster Hunter or a straightforward text-based game such as Ace Attorney, they all run flawlessly at maximum frame rates. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chip manages 3DS games effortlessly. The experience of playing high-definition 3DS games on this dual-screen device is truly exhilarating. You'll only know how good it is once you try it. I can finally enjoy all those games I've collected but never played. Having finished with the new 3DS, let's now look at the NDS. In this emulator, when setting up the upper screen, you can't stretch it to full screen, meaning it doesn't reach the very top and bottom edges, so it can only be positioned in the center like this. I'm not sure if I simply couldn't find the correct setting. Of course, if you wish to make it smaller, that is, no problem at all. Now let's take a look at the game tests. As you just saw, NDS games run smoothly without any pressure. They're all in HD mode, appearing much clearer than on the original device. Coupled with the vibrant display of the OLED screen, the experience is truly delightful. Of course, in addition to NDS and 3DS, games with other aspect ratios also work perfectly. For instance, I can use just the top screen to play PSP games. And then using the bottom screen to play PlayStation games, arcade games, or even Game Boy Advance games presents absolutely no issues whatsoever. Also, playing games while simultaneously watching videos works perfectly as well.
The sound of jealousy. No, absolutely not. Greed. I'm worse than a murderer. Come on, Officer Wu, why is it that every time you sit in court, you're so quick to resort to torture? Get the facts straight before you start the beating.
Thus, the primary benefit of such a device is that its dual screens significantly broaden the scope of playable games. To claim it's capable of mastering all consoles is entirely accurate. Therefore, I've essentially presented all the key characteristics of this unit along with the various gaming systems it supports. Naturally, due to my personal gaming preferences, there might be aspects that I haven't been able to show you. If you have any questions or thoughts, please feel free to leave a comment or use the live chat to discuss. That concludes our introduction for today. We'll see you in the next episode for more content.